Hey guys, Old Guy Gaming here, and Black Friday has come and gone, and it was a great time for me to kick off my NES collection at my local retro game store, the Warp Zone. And I decided to kick off my NES collection with a bang, where I picked up 11 titles, must-haves in my opinion, for the NES console without paying more than $100. I think I came in just under $100 for all 11 titles. So I want to go ahead and show the titles that I picked up for Black Friday this year. And we're going to go right to the bench. Alright, here we are at the bench, and I want to go over the 11 titles I kicked off my NES retro gaming collection for under $100. So let's start off with the first one. Good old classic Tetris. I think I picked this up for $5, and the retro game store that I go to was running a Black Friday sale where they were giving 20% off of all titles. So I have a lot of good memories of this. And this, of course, was the packing game with the Game Boy, but they also did an NES version as well, and both are equally as fun and a lot easier to play two players with. So I wanted a couple of games because most of my experiences are going to be playing with my kids and letting them play some of these games. I wanted games that they can play more than one player at the one time, and this was one of the must-have ones, and really cheap to pick that one up. So that was a good start, but let's keep going, shall we? I know not a lot of people are going to remember this one, but I have an awful lot of fond memories of Kung Fu. This was one of the original titles that came out with the NES whenever it was first released. It's a short game, relatively quick. The graphics aren't exactly the best, but it is overall a ton of fun to play, an easy party game. Plug it in, have some fun with this. And Kung Fu, I think I got this one for $4, I think is what he was charging after the 20% discount. So already we're off to a good start. Batman. So I have awful fond memories of the original 1989 Batman with Michael Keaton, and to be able to get a chance to play this game. I've never played this game. I've never had the opportunity to play this game. But when I was doing my research for trying to get into the NES console for retro gaming and looked at a lot of top 10, top 15 lists, some of the best games all time for the console, this game came up all the time. So I've never played it, never had the opportunity to try it out till now. So I'm going to try to put some time into this one and maybe do a couple of Let's Plays with it to see how well this game is. See how well it holds up after all that time. So, and again, I think I picked that one up for $6 after all of the discounts he was giving. Now, this game I absolutely remember, Star Tropics. There were a lot of good fantasy role-playing games. Role-playing games. Star Tropics isn't necessarily fantasy, but a lot of good role-playing games on the NES, and this was definitely one of them. This is probably a good point in time to keep in mind. So I had a lot of trouble with this game. This game and another one that's going to be coming up here shortly, where I had to go through multiple copies of the game, because despite all of the cleaning with all the isopropyl alcohol that you can possibly put on them, couldn't get this one to work as much as I tried. So this is actually the third copy that I had to go through before I finally found a good one that would actually run. However, it does run. So what I think I'm going to do, since I'm going to be getting into the NES, these screws here are proprietary to Nintendo, but there is a bit called the NES bit that you can go out to get. The right way to clean these is to take the cartridge completely apart, take the ROM chip out of this, and really buff those down. So you can do the old isopropyl on the ends down there, but the correct way to clean those up is to actually take the ROM out and actually do it. And I think I'm just going to have to invest in doing it, because I've had so much trouble. When the NES that I got, you saw it probably in one of the previous videos, was the old toaster, which is known specifically for having issues with the 72-pin connectors because of how the carts go in at an angle and then slide in, how those pins over time wear out. I think I think I intend to do this. I'll probably do a video on this. You can disable the security chip on there, which will really help that. And the other modification you can do, you can just make it a top loader, quote unquote, that you never have to push down. There's a $16 or $20 modification to just basically slide them in. They do end up being a little bit tight, but I might go that route. If none of those work, I'm just going to break down and invest in a top loader, because the top loader version of the NES just happens to be the best one. It seems to play better, and it seems to be the ideal one. But anyway, let's go on to some games. So, talking about games that I had a lot of trouble. This is my third copy of Super Mario Bros. 3. One of the best games, if not the best game on the console total in its entirety. And this is the only one to play. Of all the titles I wanted to get, this is the one I wanted to dive into first and really get, refresh my memory on this game. And I had so much trouble getting this one. But like a good game store, Carrie, the owner of the store, this is the third copy. And came back, tried it. He couldn't get the other 2 previous copies to work. He just kept trading them out until we found one that worked. And this one does. And I'm looking forward to playing this after I'm done recording this video, actually. So, let's move on. We're going to continue on. Another cheapy but good one. This one probably ends up on a list of, you know, best games for under $10 kind of thing for the NES. Again, an original black box title of the original launch whenever the NES came out. Excite Bike. Great game, fantastic little racer. Do wish it was more multiplayer, but it is just one single player game. But a ton of fun. Looking forward to, I have a lot of fond memories of this one as well. So I'm going to put that on the black title pile right there. No game collection is complete. In my opinion, than Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. In my opinion, you must have the Mike Tyson's version and not the Mr. Dream version whenever they didn't renew Tyson's license. This one has been played more than any other game on the NES so far since I brought it home 2 weeks ago. My youngest son has been playing the crap out of this game because he wants to get to Tyson. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how well he's doing. He's gotten pretty far. He's up to King Hippo the last time I saw. So, and I'm looking forward to playing it too. It's a great game. I mentioned, of course, for fantasy role-playing games, you absolutely must have. Again, I think I paid $12. This is one of the most expensive games I bought at Black Friday. I think I paid $12 for this one. Final Fantasy, fantastic game. Battery still works. You replaced the battery before, so it does the battery save still works on this one. Can't wait to break back into this game. It's so many fond memories of spending hours and hours and hours on this game. Final Fantasy for the NES. Great, fantastic title. Moving on, again, another game that came up on a lot of the top 10 lists, Jackal. This one is the most pristine copy of any NES game I think I've ever seen. There's nothing wrong with this game. It's absolutely perfect. It looks like it came right out of the box. The only downside, someone wrote in the upper right-hand corner up here. So, and I don't know what this is. This looks like tape. So at some point in time, I'm going to probably switch the back out of this with another like duplicate game that's actually better. Because, I mean, you're sure, I can probably try to take the tape off of this one and isopropyl the title off of this one. But other than that, the game is perfect, plays perfect. And this is the first one of the multiplayer games I got. Again, it's a great little shooter, driving around in a Jeep and you have to shoot people and run people over in the Jeep. Fantastic game. Jackal. Can't wait to play that one as well. So my last two pickups for my 11th games. DuckTales, again, another game from Capcom I've never played. This pops up all over the place in top 10 lists as some of the best games. A lot of the Capcom Disney titles are really high on a lot of people's lists for some of the best games on the console. Never played it. At the time, I was probably out of the Disney Hour era whenever this was coming out. It was probably more of a kid's cartoon. Like, I sort of remember watching some DuckTales because my sister might have been watching it, but wasn't a big fan of the show at the time. But that having been said, this is apparently one of the best platformers on the system. Looking forward to trying this one out as well. So there's a lot of these games I've never played before, so I'm really looking forward to playing it. And last but certainly not least, you gotta go gold. You've gotta go gold if you're going to be getting an NES. The original Legend of Zelda, almost perfect copy. There is a bit of a pencil marking here, but so what? It is, again, I'm not going for minty, fresh in the box. I'm not going for brand new. I'm going for I can play this on my NES and actually get some fun with it. This game here, my daughters, oddly enough, my daughters are the ones that have spent more time on this than I have trying to get through Legend of Zelda. So this was, I think, this is probably, yeah, the most expensive one. I think I got this one for $18 in the condition it is. No manual, no map, which is going to be a little bit of an issue. I think I might end up printing those out just to make sure we have them because they are kind of important to playing the game. This is not just a plug in the game. Like so there are some helpful tips in that manual and that map that you kind of need for this one. So these are the games that I picked up at my local retro store. All of this that you see before you under $100. So 11 titles under $100. Can't beat that. So we'll close out the video here. So one thing I forgot, and I'm going to edit this in now while we're still at the bench. Each of these games, and I took them off because I wanted you guys to see the faces of the game cartridges themselves, but every one of them came with a Nintendo brand sleeve. Every single one of them. Now, I don't know why, but these are running really expensive. The owner of the store said that he can get anywhere between 75 cents and $1 just for these. on eBay. So every one of my games came with a Nintendo brand sleeve. Now they do have off-brand ones that look exactly the same, except they don't have the Nintendo title. But every one of mine has the Nintendo title. Now I don't know how close that is to complete in box of getting these as they are, but darn it, I was happy to have them. And considering the amount of time I've had to spend cleaning some of these games to get them back up and functioning into working condition, being able to keep a dust jacket on them is super helpful. So now we'll go ahead and close out. So that's it. That's going to be it for my my Black Friday pickups. There was one other game I failed to mention as we were standing in line for the second or third time going back to have the games that no matter how much we cleaned them, we couldn't get them to function on my console. Was standing in line looking at all the NES titles. She also got a copy of Monopoly. Now, the cool thing about the game store that I was at, the owner just gave it to her. Like, it was a $2 game, maybe a $3 game sitting on the shelf, something that nobody in the world would ever want, really. But she wanted to play Monopoly on the Nintendo, and darn it, she was happy to get the game for free from the owner. So that, to me, like, it's one of those things. Like, what I ended up doing, my strategy for going into Black Friday was this. Sorry, the dogs were running around. My son stopped them from doing that. So what I was saying before I was cut off. So there are 3 local retro game shops in my area. There's a CD warehouse that just started selling retro games. There's one that's sort of dedicated to all things retro and include games in their sales. And then there's the Warp Zone, which is a strictly dedicated retro game shop. And what I had done on Wednesday is I drove around to the other 2 shops. And I looked at, I have a list I think I showed in the previous video of all the games I was looking for to who had what. And the games that they had, I wrote down, and here's the price that they were charging for them going into Black Friday. I took my entire list of Warp Zone, and he said, yep, no, if their price is better than mine, I'll match it. And in several instances, 2 of the games, I think off the top of my head, his price was better than theirs. So ultimately, in the end, 11 titles to sit down and go with. And I think, again, when I originally bought it, I ended up getting Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt for free because, you know, you can throw a rock and find that game. And then I ended up picking up Castlevania 2. So I have a grand total of 13 titles on my brand new NES. And gonna have to get some game time in. I think I'm gonna have to hit the brakes now for a bit. I may be asking Santa for a couple of them, like the original Castlevania, for example, and the original Contra, are 2 games that are really high on my list of picking those up as well. But I think I might have to hit the brakes for a while because that was a big hit all at once. But that having been said, that's what hobby money is for. I always budget myself $50 and then I build up my hobby fund to go out and splurge, and that's what I did on this one, was splurge a bit. So anyway, so I do hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, let me know what you did on your Black Friday. What pickups did you pick up? Drop pictures down in the comments down below. That'd be fantastic. So until next video, guys, always keep your cards clean. Trust me, I know.